Hey guys, this is Fergal from Poker VIP. We are back now for part 3 of our Coral Poker Hands Go promotional videos. So we're going to be following the same basic format as previously. We're going to be playing 4 tables of 20 NL throughout, and I'm going to be talking through my thought process as we go. So I have all the tables up and running, ready to go. One thing to note, the top right table that we're in is actually a shorter stack table. I set into it by mistake and the game actually seems really good, so I figured I was going to leave it. So we've already tripled up. We had started off with €10 on it. We're up to €30 already, and most of that came from an all-in pocket jacks versus pocket sixes versus ace 10 pre-flop. So as you can see by those 2 hands that we got it in against, that's the kind of table that I want to be a part of. So normally I don't like the shorter stack games, but if the games are good, I see no reason to leave. So we're going to keep on playing it anyway. All the other tables though are the standard full 100 BB poker games. So we're just going to jump straight into it. As I said, this is part of the Poker Hands Go promotion. You would have been familiar with it from previous videos that we've done. So I'm just going to have a very quick chat about what it is, just while we're in the middle of hands. So to opt into the promotion, all you need to do, register with Coral Poker, go into the missions section, and you can opt into the Poker Hands Go promo here. As you can see, I've actually completed it already. It's very easy to complete. All you need to do is play 20 NL or above and get dealt every single pocket pair, so pocket twos, pocket threes, pocket fours, all the way up through pocket aces. Once you have done that successfully, you get given a ticket to a £3,000 free roll. So as I said, I've already registered for that. Now the free roll is due to start on Monday the 15th of August, and as it stands, it's actually incredibly good value. So at the moment there's only 45 people registered, and obviously there's £3,000 up for grabs. Now I would expect that number to rise obviously, but by the looks of it, it's going to be an incredibly good value free roll, so I'm looking forward to playing that. Ace Queen suited, we are going to be bringing it in for a 3-bet, and we're looking just to check our jacks down if we can. We're definitely going to be against Queen X sometimes, but our jacks should be good a fair chunk as well, and they are good this time. When Pay My Bills 31 re-raises before us, we're just going to flat call in position. We have Ace Queen suited, by no means a powerhouse that we're looking to get all the money in pre-flop, but definitely a hand that we're happy to see a flop with in a 3-bet pot when we have absolute position. We definitely don't want Pumpkin to come back over the top with a 4-bet. We're happy enough just to go ahead and see a flop. So fingers crossed, that's what happens, and it is indeed. So he calls. Oh, I didn't realize the small blind had come along for the ride as well, so it's actually a pretty reasonable sized pot. Unfortunately, we don't have much going for us. We have obviously 2 overcards to the board. We have some backdoor flush potential as well. Betting into 3 people, I think here is going to be a mistake though in general. I'm going to check back. If it's checked to us again, I may consider firing a bet. And with the 8-9 suited up here in the top right, we're just getting too good a price. We're getting 2 to 1 in our money here. We can never consider folding. Even against that exact hand that has us dominated, we were still getting the correct price, which is crazy. That's how committed that we were, or at least close to the correct price, if not the exact correct price. So as I said, never considering folding there. It was just unfortunate that he had that exact holding. Pocket jacks, we are going to be looking to 3-bet for sure. And King Queen offsuit on the bottom left table, we're going to be bringing it in for a raise. The 7-9 offsuit though, not going to be good enough to continue. So with the pocket jacks up on the top right table, the button is taking their time. So they go ahead and they open. So we're going to be 3-betting, as I said. Our standard is to 4x 3-bets when we are out of position. However, when stacks are a little bit shallower than normal, we're going to be reducing that down. So actually we're going to be going 4x when the extra player comes along. But if the extra player hadn't come along, we would have been sizing that down just a little bit. So we get 1 fold, and we don't really want to get another fold. We wouldn't mind Joseph coming along here and seeing a flop. We don't love the ace, but he shouldn't have that many strong aces, so I would expect our pocket jacks to be good here fairly often. I don't see much value in betting them though, so I'm just going to be checking this back. I think he's going to show us a decent amount of underpairs to our jacks here, so again, we're just checking down. If he bets, we're probably going to click call despite the 2 overcards. I don't love this situation, but I don't see myself folding here. Unless he has a hand like pocket 9s, then I would expect to be behind, but I'd be very surprised for him to show us ace or queen x here. So he does indeed muck his cards. What did he have? He had the 6 and the king of the same suit. So again, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier on. Like, this game just seems really, really good. We're not planning on folding, really. This bad beats player seems to be particularly crazy. So while this is definitely a little bit of a marginal call, we're happy enough to come along and take a multi-way pop purely because he is in it. He seems very prone to stacking off quite easily. So, as I said, we're going to be looking to go out of our way to get involved in pots against him for sure. We're going to be playing quite honestly against him as well, though. We're going to be betting very, very strong for value, and we are going to be not really looking to run that many bluffs against him. That's going to be our general plan of action. 7-3, obviously not good enough for an open. The 5-7 offsuit versus a button open again. If we were going to be playing that, I'd be looking to use it as a 3-bet bluff. I don't really like doing that though. If it was suited, for sure we could be doing that, but the offsuit variety, it's just not going to play that well enough when we get called. So I think we're better off just sticking it in the muck and giving up our small blind. King 10, I thought we flopped a straight there. I was getting very excited. We do flop an open ender though, and it's an open ender to the nuts as well because we have the king to go along. So even if a queen comes off, there's 4 to a straight on the board, but if he somehow has another 10, we will still have him beat. We now have a pair and a gut shot. I don't really see much point in betting here. I think he's going to be folding an absolute ton of his range, and I mean when he checks twice, I do expect to be ahead very often, but it's just very difficult to see what kind of hands he can call with that we are ahead of. So we can't really bet for value there. So I think I'm happy enough just checking, trying to induce some bluffs, and taking our showdown value when we have it. As I said, like if we do bet, we're just kind of value owning ourselves and allowing him to play perfect poker there more often than not, where he's pretty unlikely to be calling with the worst hand, but he's going to be calling with a decent number of better hands for sure, on the rare occasions that he shows up with them. The jack and the 7 offsuit, just going to be a fold again. And it's actually just a free roll tournament has started there as well, so I'm just going to drag that off screen. If anything interesting happens in that, I might pull it on. I'd actually forgotten I'd registered for a few of the free rolls. So as I said, I'm not going to be recording that though. There seems to be a massive amount of free rolls available on the website though, which is absolutely fantastic. A lot of free value there for new players and so on. The jack and the queen suited, we are probably going to be at least defending here. I don't see myself folding. So I don't know if we're going to be using it as a 3-bet though, and stacks are so shallow. I think I prefer just flat calling, especially versus this player. As I said, he's gotten involved in some all-in pre-flop where he just does not seem to want to click the fold button. So I think by 3-betting a hand like Queen Jack, we're going to end up in a lot of awkward spots where he's actually stacking off quite light but quite correctly with hands like, you know, Ace 10, Ace 9, and any of his random sort of aces, as well as some of his kind of king highs even. Like I've seen him get in earlier on versus a player when we were getting the video set up with a hand like King 5 versus one of the shorter stacks. He just really doesn't seem to have a fold button. So as I said, I think we're going to be looking to play reasonably honestly against him. Queen Jack is going to be a value bet now. When this player donks out and we flat call and then he checks to us, I don't expect him to have a better queen ever. He's going to have a decent number of spade draws, I feel, though, when he takes this line, so we definitely want to be looking to extract value from them. And now, when the 9 rolls off, I think we're just going to check it back now if he checks to us. Betting for value again seems a little bit optimistic to me. We're not folding here to this bet, though. So he just shows over the 5-7, so he did indeed have the missed flush draw. That doesn't surprise me at all. So we played that in a way to maximize our value against those hands. Unfortunately, he decided to bluff it in the end as well, even after he picked up some showdown value, which I think is a pretty big mistake. I think he rivered a pair at the very end, so by betting there, I think he is going to be just spewing off money. I think it's very rare that I'm going to be folding for that sizing. And as I said, I was planning on just checking it back anyway, so it seems like he could have saved himself some chips. The ace and the 9 now, we're just giving it up after we bet and get called on the flop. So the 8 and the 10 suited on the bottom left table is going to be good enough for a steal if it's folded to us, and we may use it as a 3-bet bluff from some later position raises, if depending on the action. Yeah, if the button decides to go ahead and open, we're going to be using it as a 3-bet. And when it's folded to us, as I said, we're just going to be going ahead and raising ourselves. We get 3-bet, which doesn't fill my heart with happiness by any stretch, but we're getting too good a price to consider folding, and we have a hand that can flop quite well. We flop top pair, so we're going to be check calling here at least one street, and probably more. I don't love the queen. We're going to start off with a check again anyway, still not necessarily folding, but definitely not as happy as I was on the flop. And the ace is the nut low card for us now. The chances of us being ahead here are pretty slim, so yeah, he gets there on the river, unfortunately, which is a little bit upsetting, but hey, these things, they do happen. Again, we could have played it a little bit more aggressively and, you know, probably gotten him to fold on earlier streets if we had, you know, let out in the flop, for example, but by doing that, I mean, he only had 3 outs, so it's not like we had to protect our hand that much, and we did get him to invest more money in when he was behind, and he didn't put any more money in when he was ahead, so that is the definition of perfect poker. All the money went in, except, well, obviously pre-flop, but we were basically flipping pre-flop, and all the money went in post-flop when we were ahead, so we're not going to complain too much about it. I'm pretty surprised he didn't go for a bet there on the river. I feel like when he does end up with the ace there, it's very difficult for me to have a better hand than top pair, so it feels like he should just be betting small for value. I wasn't going to be calling, but it still feels like he should have been trying for it for sure. And the 6 and the 10 offsuit is going to be a fold. If it's just called around, we get to check and see a free flop, obviously, but any raise, we're not planning on defending it at any point. So yeah, so mid position is opened, so easy muck. The 8-9 suited, though, we're definitely going to be bringing this in for a raise. So we're just going to go with our usual 2.5x sizing from that position. And pocket 9s again, same sort of deal. If it's folded to us, we're going to be raising. The queen and the 8 offsuit, if anyone raises before us, we're just going to be folding, but we're going to be using it as a blind versus blind steal, but it's obviously not a particularly good hand, but it does fare okay, blind versus blind. Anyone raising at any earlier point, though, we're going to be struggling to turn a profit by that for that out of position, so we're just going to be sticking it in the muck. With the 8-9 suited, so the button goes ahead and clicks the call button. And we get 3-bet with our 9s, we're going to go ahead and call and see a flop. Not one of the better flops for us by any stretch, we're going to be checking this one back. And we get 3-bet with the 8-9 suited as well. I think I'm going to go ahead and call and look to see some multi-way action on this board. So we flop a flush draw, which is quite exciting. It's just a question of whether we want to raise and stack off now. I mean, folding is out of the question, and I think the pot is large enough now that just flat calling, I don't think it's going to be great, so I'm just going to go ahead. This is a little bit borderline for sure, but if he's ever bet folding here, this is going to be good, and if he does call with the hand like ace-king or something like that, which he does, we still have equity. Unfortunately, we brick out, but as I said, I think he's definitely going to have some hands for sure that he is bet folding there, and even in the situations where we do get called, we still have decent enough equity, so definitely marginal, but I think it's going to be okay. As I said, like we have too much equity to fold, I feel, on that flop, and I definitely don't like just flat calling with the sizing he made it, so my preference definitely is just to raise there, even though I wasn't in love with our options. I think definitely probably a borderline peel pre-flop for sure, but we're not going to worry too much about it. You can't get that upset about losing a stack here and there, especially as long as you don't get it in terrible shape. You can't be that upset about it. The ace and the deuce, we're going to be bringing in for a raise. We take it down. Ace 3, we're going to be folding. And the king 3 is going to be a fold as well. It's going to be pretty tricky to do anything with that sort of trashy kind of hand. So we're still about break even for the session since I've been set up the tables due to our, like as I said, we started off with €10 on the top right table, so we're up about €20 here. We're down about 20 now. This is a pounds table down here, so obviously pounds are worth a little bit more than euros. So we're down a little bit so far, but still plenty of time to get that back though before we finish up. Jack King suited, definitely going to be bringing it in for a raise, and we're going to be hoping for a little bit of action. We don't really want to get 3-bet though for sure. And we just take it down pre-flop. Definitely not the worst case scenario by any stretch, so we're fine with that as well. And Queen 5 suited rather is not going to be strong enough, unfortunately, so we'll just have a fold on our hands there. King 5 suited though, I feel versus a button open, we're going to use this as a 3-bet bluff if the small blind folds. He raises himself, and actually I think this is going to be a pretty decent spot for a cold 4-bet bluff ourselves. So that's what we're going to do and see if we can get this one through. Like, this just screams of strength here, so I think we are going to be getting this through very, very often. And with the small blind versus button dynamics, people are definitely going to be 3-betting reasonably wide there, so just because he 3-bet doesn't necessarily mean he has the stone cold nuts by any stretch, so I think that's going to be a very, very profitable cold 4-bet for sure. Pocket 8s, we're going to be bringing it in for an open if folded. I think we just raise, get pocket 8s in here versus a short stack, I think. I don't love it, but there definitely are, I mean, flat calling versus short stack seems bad to me versus the 4x open. And folding seems absurdly weak, so I think I like just raise getting it in. Or he flat calls and we flop a set, which is even better. So we're going to start this off with a check. We can still get the money in very, very easily in 2 streets, so I think just checking and keeping his range as wide as possible. So we're just going to check call, and we're going to see if we can convince him to stick the money in on the turn. So we're going to check again, and he is all but all in, so we're just going to raise now, and I presume he's never folding. So he has the pocket jacks, and we win, so not a bad result at all. Pretty surprised he didn't just stick jacks in pre-flops. We definitely got lucky there, but we'll take it. We'll take it. We're definitely never going to be that upset about getting a little bit lucky, especially when we got a little bit unlucky earlier on with our flush draw. So we flop a open-ender with the jack and the 9. I think we're actually just going to check this back versus the short stack and just get there, because that is how we are running. And we have a set on the bottom right table as well. So we have all of the good hands going on at the moment. And we're just going to be putting in a small raise with our straight on the top right table, just so we can set up for a very comfortable river jam. Possibly could have checked this flop back actually. Betting here might not have been great, given how crushed we have the board, but it can never be that bad. And now we're just sticking the money in now ourselves. Unfortunately, he gets there, so we end up chopping that, but there again, it's unfortunate the ace rolled off, but hey. Again, there are worse things that could have happened. So we're going to call with the 8-9 when we flop top pair, and we're betting our jacks again on the bottom right, our full house. He's called the flop, so there's a decent enough chance he has a hand that's likely going to call the turn. So we're just going to go a nice small sizing just to make him think he's getting the correct price if he has diamonds, for example. And when this guy bombs, we're just going to go ahead and fold the 8-9, I think. He's shown a lot of strength. He's 3-betting us pre, and he's double barreled, so I think we're going to be struggling to turn a profit there. And with the pocket jacks, we have this fella is bombing into us, which is just amazing news. So we have one of the easiest all-ins we're ever going to have. If he has pocket 6s, then GG, sir. So he calls it off. Let's see what he has. Very interesting line. I mean, does he have pocket 8s then? It's the only thing I can think that makes sense. Oh wow, that's sick. He has the 6 and the 5, so he also had a full house. That's pretty disgusting. That is pretty disgusting. We'll take it though. We will take it. We've been hitting some hands today. Pocket 9s, we're just going to raise and get it in for this guy's remaining €2 or €3. So we're just going to put in a small raise. Just we don't really want this guy to come along. I presume this guy is never ever folding here, so pocket nines is definitely going to fare well against his get it in range with €3 or so. Weird that he doesn't just stick the money in himself, but hey. So we have pocket nines versus pocket tens, so it looks like he's going to double himself back up, which he does. Again, never something, I'm not going to be ever worried about that. Like, he only has €3, so he's got 15 big blinds, and we have a strong pocket pair, so folding is never in the question at all. We just have to go ahead and stick the money in. We're going to check here with the ace and the jack. We have a gut shot, which is exciting. It's a gut shot to the nuts, but obviously if he bets here, we're going to struggle enough to turn a profit with the call. When he checks back, we're just going to lead out and bomb here with the pot size bet. We pick up the flush draw, which is nice. We just take it down though, which is obviously the best case scenario when we only have ace high. And the 9 and the jack off suit, we're going to be using it as a steal. If the cutoff opens, we may use it as a 3-bet bluff. If the button opens, we may not though, because he is such a short stack. So yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and 3-bet this guy. We've 3-bet him a couple of times so far, and he seems to be folding a decent chunk to them, so no reason to slow down with that until he gives us a reason to. So let's go ahead, put in the 3-bet and see what happens. And pocket queens, obviously we're never ever considering anything other than looking to get all of the money in as quickly as possible. So we're going to start it off with a 5x raise when the button limps. And we're going to just call here and see a flop with the ace and the 5 suited. And we get queens in versus ace jack suited, so we just need to hold. We just need to fade the ace. And we do, so another stack goes our way, which is always nice. The pocket 4 is in the bottom left table. We just defended versus play win rate, the guy who stacked us earlier on. One of the better flops for us that doesn't contain a 4, so we're just going to be checking and calling on a decent number of runouts. This guy does seem definitely on the more aggressive side, so folding at any point here on a lot of different runouts at least seems very unlikely. And ace 5 we peeled once just to see how Yala Chips responds. He bombs again. This is a little bit unfortunate because we pick up an open ender now with the ace and the 5. Any deuce or any 6 is a straight, but we're not really getting the right price though given how short he is, so we're just going to go ahead and fold. And pocket jacks we're going to be raising and looking to get the money in versus queen can. Let's see if we can get our money back that we donated to him previously. And when the king rolls off and he bombs again, unfortunately we're just going to have to fold our 4s. It's a little bit unfortunate because that guy, he seems very, very aggressive. We're going to need to start making some lighter call downs, I feel. And jacks now obviously just standard get it in versus this guy. If he has us beat again, then we're going to be very, very sad. Really strange that he's tanking here. Seems bizarre. So he has the king and the 5, so we just need to hold versus, just need no king please. No king and we're good. And okay, so we got our chips back that we donated earlier on in the 9s versus 10s with a little bit of interest I think, so we're not going to complain about that. So we're up to €40 on the bottom right and €45 on the top right. So we're definitely up a nice amount now this session so far. We got stacked with the flush draw versus top pair earlier on, but other than that though, everything's been going pretty well. We've had very little hiccups. We've ran pretty well as well, to be fair. And the ace and the 8 we're going to be using as a steal. Queen 4 off suit, not going to be good enough. We're just going to go ahead and stick her in the muck. We flop top pair in the bottom left table. It's not really a hand I'm going to be looking to get 3 streets of value though, so I'm going to start this off with a check and then start betting turn and river. Especially now, that's a really, really good card for us. If he has a jack, it's going to make him a lot more likely to pay us off. Unfortunately, he snap folds. And we're just going to call in position with our 3s here. Pretty okay board. He's not going to have that much jack X. He's going to have some obviously, but it's in general this is a board he kind of missed with a very, very decent chunk of his range. We're going to start it off with the check back, and the board pairing now we're definitely going to start betting. We're going to bet on the larger side if he checks to us again, because there are a decent number of cards that we don't want to see, obviously. So I'm just going to go ahead and pot it. We do have the flush draw, but it's a very, very weak flush draw. We don't really want to see a fourth spade. We don't want to see any five or any jack because that counterfeits our hand. So that's a very, very large portion of the deck that we don't want to see. When he raises here, I mean, it's kind of hard to see what he's doing this with. I'm going to make a borderline jam here. I'm not sure if I like this jam or not, but it just seems like he shouldn't have that much strong value here, and we have the flush draw anyway. Unfortunately, he has the trips with the flush draw covered, so that was definitely a little bit of a questionable stack off, but as I said, I just wasn't really expecting him to show much 7x there, so his raise seemed to me like he was just going to be showing a flush draw, a lone flush draw fairly often. And it's not that often that we're going to be in that rough shape versus a pair and a flush draw where we're just kind of crushed like that. But definitely possibly a borderline stack out for sure. Maybe that might have been a mistake. And we're going to be opening the 10 and the jack suited. So that was for about roughly a half a stack. So we're down a stack and a half on the left tables, and we're up about 45 euro on the right table. So we're still in profit for the session for sure, but not as much as we could have been. The ace and the queen, we are going to be bringing it in for a raise. And when it gets raised before us, I was just going to flat call, but the extra caller behind, I think we're going to prefer to squeeze now. This guy should never be that strong, so just an extra little bit of dead money that we can pick up when this 3-bet gets through. So we get one caller, and we potentially are going to get two callers now somewhat often. So pretty good flop for us. We flop top pair, top kicker. It's kind of hard to see how we're beat here on this kind of board. It's pocket eights, pocket twos, maybe. It's about the only kind of hand, so we're just going to be betting for value. Unfortunately, he snap folds. And 10 jack suited, we're going to be bringing it in for a raise on the bottom right table. King 7 offsuit on the top right, we are going to be opening if it's folded to us, and if it was any raise before us, we were probably just going to be folding. It kind of sucks that this guy is so short in the big blind. We probably would have been priced in to call against a shove there, but versus this guy, he's got a little bit more chips behind. When he 3-bets, we can go ahead and fold pretty comfortably. And the 10 jack suited on the bottom right table, we're just going to go ahead, click the call button and see a flop, I think. Seems like a reasonable plan of action to me. So this is the perfect kind of hand that we like to see a multi-way flop with. It sucks that we're out of position, obviously, but as I said, there's two other people in the pot. We can potentially flop very strongly, and for example, if we somehow manage to get very, very lucky and we flop the absolute nut straight, then with the ace, king and queen on board, there's a huge amount of 2-pair combos and set combos and so on that can exist, so it's going to be a very, very profitable situation for us. And even when we flop kind of 2-pair type hands, there's going to be a decent number of kind of over pairs, a decent number of over cards with gut shots and so on, like ace, king, ace, queen, those types of hands that will continue. So it's a pretty versatile hand in that kind of sense. We turn a pair, so we're going to go ahead and click the call button. We don't love this at all, but I mean, I don't expect many King X to be out there with the way that this hand has gone. It just feels like pretty much any King X would have been betting on the flop. And our pair of 10s is good, which is always nice. And the 6 and the ace, we're going to be bringing it in for a raise if it's folded to us. And if it's raised before us, we probably would have just gone ahead and folded. It wouldn't have been a crazy hand to use as a 3-bet bluff, but I think I would have preferred just going ahead and sticking it in the muck. And we're going to be finishing up the session there now pretty shortly. So this will probably be our last couple of hands now that we have up on screen at the moment. Pocket 7s we will obviously be playing, and that's probably going to be our last hand. Then we're gonna end the session there. So as I said, this has been Fergal from Poker VIP. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. As always, any questions, any comments, anything like that at all, feel free to fire them at me, and I'll do my best to get back at you on the various media, on YouTube, on Poker VIP, and so on. So we have the 9-10 suited and the pocket 7s. These are definitely going to be our last hands of the session. So we flop top pair here. We're going to go ahead and have a bet. We definitely don't hate if we just take this down pre-flop. We wouldn't hate it at all, or on the flop rather, should I say, which we do. Perfect. So as I said, that's been me, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed making it, and I'll be back again soon for part 4. Take care.